Okay, hello.
Hello.
And welcome back to
the Ginger and Spice Podcast. Woohoo! So today we are going to be going through Zodiac Academy book number 3, which is The Reckoning.
Yep, The Reckoning that we didn't actually get much of.
No, literally lasted about 2 seconds.
Yep.
Max. I genuinely think it was about 5 pages.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like to the point where both of us didn't even realise it was happening.
Yeah, it was a blink and you miss it because it was like, it got to the end of it and it said something about, the reckoning being over. And I was like, wait a fucking minute.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's over?
Yeah, we'll get into my feelings regarding the games and trials in this book later on.
Yeah, because I'm a big games and trials girly. I've said this so many times in our socials. I am so big on games, trials, riddles, like all that kind of things. I feel like what it should have been was like the gauntlet in Fourth Wing. Like it should have been given those kind of vibes. Do you know what I mean? Where it was like really intense, really fast paced. I'm not saying it should have been like that. Obviously Fourth Wing was written very recently and this has been out a long time. However, there was so much potential to make this amazing. Considering it's 3 books plus novellas in, this should have been, in my opinion, it should have been more in regards to the reckoning itself.
But I think this is swinging back to the idea of this being a lot like, you know, reality TV, Love Island, all that situation.
Trash TV, yeah.
It's giving trash TV. Like, everything's just sort of half-assed and they're all just having a laugh, really.
Like, it just doesn't take itself too seriously. So nothing's actually ever really that intense, including the games and trials and the reckoning, because it's actually just more about their little relationships and the dramas surrounding it.
Yeah. Shall I do a basic rundown of what we got given?
Yeah.
Okay, so basic rundown of what happened in this book. We just had the nymphs fight at the end of book 2. That was lovely. They all came together, you know. They worked as a team.
Yeah.
So then we do this book, which is now The Reckoning. So now the lads are like, right, these girls are actually going to be, you know, all right at this. Let's make their lives hell. But then it's Hell Week, so everyone's trying to make everyone's lives hell. So that was the start. And then they're doing 4 elemental trials before on the 5th day, they have The Reckoning. So we had those 4 trials, which was fine. And then we had The Reckoning, like we said, lasted 2 seconds. And then there was just a whole load of other shit that happened in between.
Yeah.
We did get a lot of spice though.
We did, but it was more like the last third of the book. Yeah. So as it got to like the last third, it almost felt like it was like back-to-back scenes. Yeah. And I'm not complaining like at all. I was very excited about it. And I was like, okay, this feels a little bit more like we're getting somewhere now. Mm-hmm. Not because like we needed the spice, but because we weren't really getting much else from it, it felt like getting that spice and breaking of that tension just felt like we were finally getting somewhere.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's talk about the plot, because for me, the plot didn't really progress for pretty much most of the book until like the last... What would you say? If we're talking about the audiobook, the last 30 minutes-ish, when Lionel finally got involved. So have you got any notes or anything you want to say on the plot?
In terms of plot, so I really enjoyed it. So obviously when we done the dramatized audiobook, it was in 2 halves. And I feel like at the end of part 1, not a lot had happened at all. I think there was like 1 trial, which was the air trial.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we got to the point of Tori having the dagger.
Yeah.
And, you know, Lionel and Lance were doing like the black magic and then they could all see and all that stuff. That was quite a good scene. Like I enjoyed that. That was fine. And then we had part 2 and then, it was the end, which was really great. But other than that, they was all just sort of piss-arsing about.
Yeah, so I would agree with that. They were really kind of like piss-arsing about, as you would expect from some kind of trashy reality TV.
Absolutely.
I know we keep saying that, but genuinely this is what it's like. And I actually... Even at the start of the second part of the dramatized audio, I was actually a little bit bored.
Really?
And I kept zoning out a little bit. Yeah, so I actually kept having to rewind because I was getting bored because nothing was really happening. And I can totally see, and I think we said this, I can totally see why people DNF this series after like 5, 6, 7 books and are a bit like, okay. Especially 7 seems to be where people stop, and I think that's because book 8 is enormous.
Oh my god, it's massive. If you can see, we've got the books behind there. It is huge.
And then you've got 8.5, which is basically like an actual whole book on its own. But 8 is like 2 to 3 books.
Yeah.
The amount of page, I think that is like over 1,000 pages. And it's so long. So I can totally see, because it is very slow progression, and it is also very samey. Like the bullying is very samey, the back and forth is very samey. The only thing that I will say hasn't been samey is the progression of the spice.
Yeah.
Because it's been a slow progression, it has sort of like kicked up a notch each book. We've gotten just that little bit more. Apart from the small amount of plot that we got at the end, the spice also being closer to the end was what really kind of got me back into this. If we hadn't have got that bit of plot at the end with Lionel, and also that progression of the spice in those kind of like essentially back-to-back scenes, I literally would have been like, oh my God, I really
Everything
don't know if I can carry on.
Everything would have been the same. Like, honestly, I do enjoy this series. I am having a great time, because I do love trashy things every now and then. Like,
too.
It's grand. But if you was reading these books back to back and you didn't have other books like what we do, I can totally see why you'd be like, oh, that's enough.
Yeah.
I've had enough of that now.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, should we go through some of our favourite scenes that aren't spicy?
Yeah.
What was yours?
So I have 2 favorite scenes that aren't spicy. The first one, which isn't my favorite one, but it is, I did really enjoy it, was when Xavier turned into a lilac Pegasus.
Oh.
So obviously we already knew that he was a Pegasus from the last book anyway, and he's also very cute, and I do think that he's going to go on to be a favorite character of probably both of ours. I reckon he just seems really, really sweet, and I think he's going to be that character that everybody's like, they just want to protect them at all costs. Tori was there as well, and she was like, Darius said to her, oh, please don't tell anyone, because obviously it's a big secret, because he should be a dragon, and they're all supposed to be true blood dragons. And Tori's like, well, like, I wouldn't have told anyone anyway, because I like him. Like, I like Xavier. And also, that's not my secret to tell. And I feel like little things like that are where I actually like those kind of like scenes where you get a little bit of normalcy in the chaos, where, they're not being dicks. And it's just like a nice, amicable scene,
because they was like playing games to begin with, weren't they?
Yeah, and they were having a really fun
Xavier.
time.
And she was like, oh my God, he keeps like glowing, like, why is he glowing? So we obviously knew, okay, well, he's going to turn any second now. He's going to turn.
Yeah.
And then she fucking loved it.
Yeah,
she was like full support.
Yeah,
didn't care.
She was like, this is cool as shit. Like, why don't you
look beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love that scene. My other favourite scene, this is my favourite non-spicy scene, and probably my favourite actual scene in the book, apart from when Lance and Darcy got it on in his room. So it's at the very end when Darcy and Tori turn into phoenixes.
Yes.
And I was like, I literally got like full body chills, because they were like, in the audiobook, it says something like they're rising from the shadows like phoenixes. And I was like, oh my God.
It was very empowering.
It was, but it was also like, I felt like we've been waiting ages for something like this, like a full body chill moment. And I think it hit harder because we'd had so many pages and so many hours of not that much going on, that when this happened, and the whole scene around it, like after Lionel kidnapped them, which we'll get to in a second, that whole scene, that whole section of scenes was really good. But my favourite part was when they turned into phoenixes.
For sure.
Because obviously there was like breadcrumbs up to that, where Lance was like feeling her back, and he was like in the woods, I think it was, wasn't it, or something. And he was like massaging her back or something, and she was like, oh, it feels like achy or whatever. And he was like, I think you're gonna have wings.
Yeah, because he was saying, I think you're gonna be it was a dragon, wasn't it, that they thought that they were going to be.
I actually put that down in my notes. I thought she was going to be a dragon. And then I thought, was that a bit too predictable though? But yeah, that's what I did think, dragon. I did not expect it to be phoenixes. That was actually a really good surprise.
So good. Yeah.
What's your favourite scenes?
So my favourite scene is, this probably shows how much not a lot happened just based on my favourite scene. So my favourite scene is when Caleb's in bed with Tori in the morning, and Darius is absolutely losing his shit. Like, he's going mental, because the day before, Tori basically gone and seen Darius, and he was a proper dick. And she was like, oh, do you know what? I'll just go see Caleb, because he can touch my body and all this. So she ends up going to Caleb's. They end up sleeping together, and then Darius can't handle it. So the next morning, he calls all the boys round because he's got news or something like that. And then Caleb just doesn't turn up. Seth turns up naked, and Darius is like proper stressing out, and Seth just wants a cuddle, and he like just proper kicks off. I thought that was hilarious. And then Max turns up, and he's like trying to calm everyone down. And then Darius is like, "Get Caleb on the phone. I need to speak to Caleb." And then Caleb messages something like, "Sorry, I'm busy." And he was like, "No, get here now, get here now." Sends him like 10 messages. And then Caleb's like, "Oh, I'll be in there in an hour. Actually, make that 2. And then he puts like 2 kisses or something like that. And I was like, that is so funny. Like, it was just hilarious.
I could hear you when I was like sitting at my desk because you were obviously ahead of me listening to this.
Yeah.
And every couple of minutes, all I could hear was you just giggling.
Yeah.
Just from your desk across the room.
Yeah. I just thought it was really funny. I mean, you know, there was some other really good bits, but that for me made me laugh.
Okay. What about your favourite spicy scene?
Okay, so my favourite spicy scene, I think, is going to be both of our favourite spicy scenes. So we might as well just discuss it together. So, Lance originally said to Darcy, green or blue? Like, if you dye your hair blue, then I know you like me. So then she was like, oh, I'm going to dye it blue anyway, so I might as well go and show him. So she dyes her hair blue, and then she turns up at his door, and then, boom, that's it. They're in love. They're going to have some sexy time.
Yeah. So she kind of like has to sneak over though, doesn't she? And hope that she's not seen. So she has to like hide her hair because she's like, if I get caught on a camera, like I've got blue hair, like they're going to know who it is. So
it's like teacher's quarters.
Yeah, I think she had her hood up or something like that. And she walks into the room, and I think because she knocks on his door, and then he turns up and he's only in like a sweatpants and no top. And she's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then he invites her in because at first she's like, oh shit, have I made a mistake? And he's like, no. And then he yanks her in, doesn't he? And then she takes her hood down and shows him her hair. And he's like, oh, it's blue. And then they get it on.
They get it, and they really do get it on. Lance!
It was such a good scene.
This man's got skill.
It really solidified him as definitely my favourite character so far. I can totally see why everyone talks about him and raves about him.
Yep.
I can only see him getting better as well.
Yeah. Because he's an angry, grumpy man, and I still love that. He likes bourbon,
but he's like,
we all like a drink.
He's only like 2 years older or something than everybody else.
Yeah. But he's like made out to be this older guy.
Yeah.
But actually he's
basically the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the other one? The one with Caleb?
Yeah, the one with Caleb and Tori. This is the same as my non-spicy favourite scene. It was like the same timing.
Yeah.
So after she's seen Darius, she tells Caleb to come and find her. Then she breaks into his house and takes a selfie of herself on his bed.
Yeah.
And then he's like legging it back because he's ready to get some action.
Because she's like, oh, come and find me. And she knows that sending the selfie on his bed, like he's going to know instantly where she is. So she sends him the selfie and then she just doesn't get a reply.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh shit, have I like misunderstood this? And then literally
he's
2 minutes later, he's like bursting in through the door. That was great.
That was great. And then they do the deed and it's all very sexy. And then he turns around to her and he goes, do you fancy watching Rambo? Oh. And she was like, yeah, all right. And that's how she stays over, and that's why Darius then kicks off. It was lovely.
Yeah.
Honestly, the spice in this, maybe it's because we've been so like
depraved of it.
So actually it's like normal spice, but for us it's like
yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god. The bee went near the vein.
Yes. Yeah. Literally.
Literally, that was us.
Should we go through some characters?
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
Right, I want to start by talking about Seth, because obviously everyone in our socials has been like, don't like Seth. You said you didn't really like Seth, but you're up and down. And everyone was like, he goes on a journey. I've liked him from the beginning. Like, I've never not liked him. I don't know what's going on. So I don't understand what everyone else is thinking, because I thought he was lovely.
You must see his potential.
But
he does go up and down, though.
He was lovely in this book. I thought he was nice.
Yeah,
he
was.
Do anything bad.
Yeah. There was no pissing on the legs.
There was zero pissing.
I feel like she just like totally brushed over that as if it was nothing. Like if someone pissed on my legs and then encouraged his mates to piss on my legs, I would be absolutely raging.
You would be fuming, yeah.
For like at least a few years.
Yeah. But I think it's because in this one, obviously because he had the fleas, none of his mates wanted to be near him and he just wanted a cuddle. And I was like, come here, Seth.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come and sit with Tia.
Aww.
That's what I felt like.
Yeah, I could totally see you taking him under your wing.
Yeah.
Tell you what we can talk about, Max and Geraldine.
Yeah.
Getting it on.
Getting it on.
Let's get it on.
Didn't see that coming.
Nope.
Nope.
That,
Don't
I feel
even
like
know what to think about that.
that came out of left field.
Literally.
I was like, I'm totally here for it. Don't get me
Oh,
wrong.
I'm down for anything. You can
Yeah.
chuck anything at me and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But she's down as one of my favourite characters as
Yeah.
well.
I like her.
From this book. I like her. The Arse Club can stay. They're great.
I will say that, so I've been quite indifferent with Caleb from the beginning, to be honest. He's not been like my favourite, but I also haven't hated him. Similar with Darius, really. I've felt quite indifferent, but I will say in this one, I have started to like Caleb a lot more.
I just put Caleb is actually well alright.
Yeah. Because I feel like I haven't felt much towards him.
No.
It's kind of been like Seth and Lance, really, that have stolen the spotlight, I feel. And now I feel like Caleb is really stepping up. And I'm hoping that by the time we get to book 4, after we've done Ruthless Fae, that we'll get more of Darius, especially now if Lionel is so heavily involved. And obviously they're going to be keeping this secret that they actually remember, and from Darius and Lance, obviously, and everyone as well. So I'm hoping, considering they've all got this kind of like secret now, that Darius will become more involved and he'll start to get his moment as well, because he's sort of been in the shadows, just kind of like liking her from the sidelines, and hasn't had a moment yet.
I'm still waiting for a why choose. I don't care if you tell me it's not going to happen in the Zodiac Academy series. It's happening.
There's 100% going to be a why choose, but I don't think it's going to be between the main characters, like the main
it's just not
kind
good
of
enough.
4 or 5.
It's just not good enough for me.
I think it's going to be like the sort of side characters that are going to end up in a why choose.
I know you know. I know you know, because
I'm trying not to give it away. Who? I accidentally found out who ends up with who. And I don't know, I'm not taking it as gospel, because I read, like, it just came up. I was searching something else and it came up on Google, like the top result, and I read it by accident. So I don't know if that was correct or not, but that's what I seen. And it was a why choose situation with the side characters.
Okay.
But at least we're getting one.
I mean, it's better than nothing, isn't it?
But the side characters may become more like main characters going forward. I mean, there's a lot of books left.
Yeah, we've got a lot of pages to read.
Yes.
Plenty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we talk about that sort of final scenes with Lionel? So basically, everybody's at the bonfire. I think this is when we found out about Max and Geraldine kind of like getting it on as well. And basically, Tori ends up by the water. She's alone. And then Darius turns up kind of literally out of nowhere. And he seems like he's being really nice. He seems a little bit down in it. And I was like, oh, I wonder if this is where he's going to kind of like confess his love for her and whatever. So they're just having like a relatively normal chat. And then basically, out of nowhere, Lionel turns up. Darius's dad. Lionel turns up and is like, oh, son, you finally done something right for a change, and blah, blah, blah. And Darius is like, what the fuck are you talking about? What? And then basically, out of nowhere, poof, Lionel presents the, what do you call it, Stardust?
Yeah.
Lionel presents the Stardust stuff and then transports them to the dreaded cliff from the 0.5 novella.
Yes.
To that cliff, where obviously we had the situation with Lance's sister. So they turn up. Darius and Tori turn up there with Lionel, and when they get there, Lance and Darcy also turn up just out of nowhere. Now, we don't know how Lance and Darcy got there. Lionel is basically trying again to get to the Shadow Realm. I believe it was because Lance's sister wasn't quite powerful enough and they needed someone more powerful.
That's what it sounded like.
So they've obviously got the 2 sisters who both have all 4 elements, and they're basically using them to access the Shadow Realm and the dark magic. And that happens, and the sisters basically join hands in this scene. I mean, everybody, Lionel's little crew is all in like cloaks and shit like that, and then Lance's mum is there again, and they're still in cahoots and whatever. And the 2 sisters end up joining hands, and obviously they're a lot more powerful when they're joined together, so they kind of like power share between them, and they push against all of the power that's kind of been put into them. They kind of basically like push against it, and then this is the moment where they turn into phoenixes.
It was beautiful.
They finally show their order, We've not heard of phoenixes in this so
we
far,
haven't.
so I can only assume that they're actually quite rare,
Yeah.
which would make sense for the storyline, and with it being kind of like a fantasy, that would make
Powerful,
sense.
yeah.
Extra powerful, very rare, all 4 elements, like it kind of makes sense, really. But obviously, they've had all this kind of like dark magic essentially funneled through them. And at the end of the scene, Lionel tries to compel them to forget. And they're obviously so powerful now that they push against it, and it doesn't work. But they make themselves kind of go glassy-eyed and, look like they've zoned out. So it looks like they've forgotten. And then Darius comes over to take them back to Zodiac Academy and basically says, I'm really sorry. And in her head, she's like, well, you fucking will be.
Yeah.
So this is obviously... And the next book is called... Book 4 is called Shadow Princess, and we were just talking about this a second ago, that obviously Lionel was trying to access the Shadow Realm. And they had all of this dark magic from the Shadow Realm funneling through them. So I wonder if some of that has stuck somehow, and I wonder if that's going to like literally just propel them to like this new height of power. Yeah. And obviously they do remember. So they're now in the next book going to have to try and pretend that they don't. And I think that's going to be really difficult, because Lionel was basically like to Darius, if they start to show any signs of remembering, come and get me immediately, take them to me immediately.
Yeah, because obviously Lance and Darius, they've been put in this situation. Like, they didn't know any of this was going to happen.
No.
And they know what Lionel can be like, which is why they're just sort of sitting back and they've got to let it happen.
Yeah.
But obviously they don't want to let it happen because it is their girls, but the girls are like, nah, fuck you. I'm going to take you down. So yeah, savage, but necessary for book 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping it'll really go off in book 4, but I think we'll probably get much of the same like we have done in all the other books, where it starts off quite slow, everything goes back to normal. We get progression of the relationships, there's still secrets and everything going on. It's all back and forth, and then at the end, it'll all go off again.
Yeah, for sure.
There was one other scene actually that I forgot to mention earlier that I just wanted to talk about really quickly, and it was the scene where the teacher brings in all the sex toys.
Oh my god. Washer.
Was that his name?
Washer, yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. I was laughing something terrible. It was so
honestly,
funny. And then Lance,
so rogue.
And then Lance walks in and is like, "Get the fuck out! Get out! What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And everyone in the class is like, "Oh my god, make it stop! Make it stop immediately!"
So funny. Like, he's a proper pervert,
yeah.
but like in a funny way.
Yeah.
Because it's not like he's done anything that's like bad, but he's just like that odd teacher that you had back in school.
Yeah.
That was just really inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of made people feel uncomfortable, but also made them laugh at the same time. Yeah. Should we do ratings?
Let's do some ratings.
Let's start with the stars.
I gave it 4.5.
I gave it a 4. Purely because it was too slow and too much happened in a short period of time at the end.
Yeah.
I feel like coming up to the end of book 3 plus novellas, there should have been more happening throughout the book, and I wanted more from the games and the trials.
So I would say I did give it a 4.5, but it would be a lower 4.5. But I still really enjoyed it. Like, I had a great time reading it. It was just that not a lot happened. I did want more from the trials as well. But yeah, I still had a great time.
I think it was just because I was kind of expecting more. Nobody had made me expect anything. I was just thinking, right, surely now, after all of these pages, we're going to be getting something.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen until the very end. And like I said, the Reckoning being over so quickly, I was like, the book is literally called The Reckoning.
Yeah.
Why was this over in the blink of an eye?
That should have been like some big, decent trial.
It really should have. Yeah, it should have been a big deal. Yeah. And actually, the big deal was the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's the only reason I gave it a 4. Okay, should we do chili peppers?
Chili
peppers. So I would say 2.5.
I would also say 2.5.
I feel like 3 feels like too much, even though we did get more in this, like we said. But again, it was all sort of like the last third of the book, and the scenes were a little bit sort of like back to back. They weren't that descriptive, and they didn't last that long. Yeah. And there was still a lot of like kind of spicy, tension-filled scenes
for sure.
Where it was about to happen, or it was, if there was things rubbing up on things.
There was a little bit of touching.
Yeah. But it didn't progress. But because there was also more of those scenes as well. So I feel like 2.5. So it's more than what we've given the other books.
Yeah.
but
Totally
it's
agree.
still not like loads.
All
There's
there.
definitely a lot of potential for there to be more.
I can't wait. Okay, so we're actually going to stop reading ZA now and go on to the Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac and start with book 1, which I think is called Dark Fae.
Yes, I think you're right, yeah. Hold the line, please, caller.
Hold the line, please,
I shall tell you right now. Dark Fae. Yep.
Yeah, because this is the route that we're going to go down.
We said this in the very first episode of the Zodiac Academy podcast, that this is the reading order that we would be doing.
Yep.
So we've done Origins of an Academy Bully, we've done The Awakening. The Awakening is told by the boys, Ruthless Fae, and then The Reckoning, which is this episode. And now we're going to move into the 4 books for the Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac.
Woo-hoo.
So we're going to do Dark Fae, Savage Fae, Vicious Fae, and Broken Fae. And then we will come back into Zodiac Academy. Oh, no, sorry. And then Warrior Fae, book 5. And then we'll come back into Zodiac Academy and do Shadow Princess, which is Zodiac Academy 4.
Yes.
So it feels long,
Lovely.
but actually, I have this down as a note as well from this book, is that I'm actually really glad that we're switching this out and going to Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac. So we've been told that the Ruthless Boys is a lot spicier.
Yes.
Lots of new characters, but also the characters from the Ruthless Boys are now going to be introduced when we go back to Zodiac Academy. Yeah. So I'm very excited for that to happen.
And it's why choose as well.
A switch up. And we love a why choose, don't we? So just to confirm, next week is going to be book 1 of Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac. Yep. Dark Fae, you said it's called?
Yep.
So cheers to that.
Cheers to Dark Fae.
See you next week.
Woohoo!